Have you ever felt trapped in the emotional prison of someone else's grip on your heart? That feeling where their absence feels like a void that can never be filled? Where does their opinion of you become more important than your own? What if I told you that over 1,800 years ago, a Roman emperor discovered the secret to breaking these chains? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to explore 5 powerful rules from Stoic philosophy, specifically from Marcus Aurelius, that will help you emotionally detach from someone who is consuming your thoughts, controlling your emotions, and perhaps even destroying your peace. But before we dive in, a word of warning. These principles aren't easy. They require courage. The courage to face yourself, to challenge deeply rooted beliefs about attachment, and to embrace temporary discomfort for lasting freedom. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Stay with me until the end to discover how these ancient wisdom principles can transform not just your ability to detach from someone, but also revolutionize your entire approach to relationships. Rule number 1, recognize the temporary nature of all relationships. The first Stoic rule for emotional detachment comes from Marcus Aurelius's recognition that everything in life, including relationships, is temporary. In his Meditations, Marcus wrote, "Everything is only for a day, both that which remembers and that which is remembered." Think about this deeply for a moment. The person you're struggling to detach from, they are temporary. Your feelings toward them, temporary. Even the pain you're experiencing now, yes, temporary. This isn't meant to devalue your connections, but to place them in their proper context. When we forget the temporary nature of relationships, we create unrealistic expectations that lead to intense suffering. I remember working with a client, let's call him David, who was devastated after a 12-year relationship ended. He kept repeating, "But we were supposed to be forever." This belief was the source of his inability to detach. When David began to understand that all relationships have natural beginnings and endings, whether through changing circumstances, evolving as individuals, or ultimately death, something shifted in him. He stopped fighting reality and began accepting the temporary nature of his connection. But here's where most people misunderstand this principle. Recognizing impermanence doesn't mean becoming cold or distant in relationships. In fact, it can make your connections more precious. When you truly understand that nothing lasts forever, you appreciate the present moment more deeply. Music builds slightly. Ask yourself right now, how would your feelings change if you fully accepted that this person was only meant to be in your life for a season? How would detachment become easier if you embrace the natural cycle of connections forming and dissolving? What if the pain you're feeling isn't because they left, but because you believed they would stay forever? Everything is borrowed. Appreciate it, then let it go. Rule number 2, separate the person from your judgments about them. Marcus Aurelius offers this profound insight. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This is the second rule. Separate the person from your judgments about them. Right now, you're not actually attached to the person themselves. You're attached to your judgments, interpretations, and stories about them. Let that sink in. The person who occupies your thoughts isn't the actual person. It's the mental construct you've created. You've likely assigned them extraordinary importance, given them power over your happiness, or elevated them to an idolized status. Try this exercise. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On one side, write down objective facts about this person and your relationship. On the other side, write down your interpretations, judgments, and the meaning you've assigned to these facts. Fact: they ended the relationship. Judgment: I wasn't good enough for them. Fact: they don't respond to my messages quickly. Judgment: they don't care about me anymore. See the difference? The pain comes not from the facts, but from your judgments. When you begin to separate facts from judgments, you reclaim your power. You realize that you've been suffering not because of them, but because of the story you've been telling yourself about them. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. What if the person you miss only exists in your imagination? Facts free you, judgments imprison you. Rule number 3, practice the discipline of desire and aversion. The third Stoic rule for emotional detachment centers on what the ancients called the discipline of desire and aversion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you work at that which is before you, following right reasons seriously, vigorously, calmly, without allowing anything else to distract you. If you hold to this, expecting nothing, fearing nothing, but satisfied with your present activities according to nature, you will live a happy life." This principle teaches us to carefully examine what we desire and what we seek to avoid, and then to align those desires with nature and reason rather than unhealthy attachments. Here's how this works practically for emotional detachment. First, identify exactly what you desire from this person. Is it their validation, their presence, the comfort of their familiarity, the hope of reconciliation? Write these desires down explicitly. Now analyze each desire through the Stoic lens by asking, is this within my control? And is this desire aligned with my highest good? The harsh truth is that many of your desires related to this person are likely outside your control and therefore a recipe for continued suffering. Every time you desire something you cannot control, you are choosing to remain in emotional bondage. Marcus reminds us, "You can bind up my leg, but not even Zeus has the power to break my freedom of choice." The discipline of desire teaches us to redirect our focus from external things we cannot control, like whether someone loves us, misses us, or regrets losing us, to internal qualities we can cultivate. Our own integrity, our capacity for wisdom, our ability to find joy independent of others, our resilience in facing loss. By practicing this discipline, you stop feeding the emotional attachment with unrealistic desires. What are you craving? The person or how they made you feel? Desire what depends on you. Release what doesn't. Rule number 4, create distance and practice. Premeditatio malorum. When jarred unavoidably by circumstances, revert at once to yourself and don't lose the rhythm more than you can help. You'll have a better grasp of harmony if you keep going back to it. These words from Marcus Aurelius introduce our 4th rule. Create distance and practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils or challenges. This rule has 2 complementary parts. First, create literal distance. The Stoics understood that proximity often intensifies emotional reactions. Marcus often retreated to his private study, when court life became overwhelming. Today, this might mean limiting exposure to their social media, removing or storing gifts and reminders, temporarily changing routines that trigger memories, taking physical space when possible. This isn't avoidance, it's the strategic retreat for emotional clarity. But the second part is where the transformative power lies. Premeditatio malorum. This ancient practice involves deliberately visualizing difficult scenarios to reduce their emotional impact. For emotional detachment, it works like this. Each morning, spend 5 minutes visualizing potential triggers related to this person. Imagine seeing their name pop up in a message, running into them unexpectedly, hearing news about them through friends, or experiencing a wave of longing. As you imagine each scenario, observe your emotional response without judgment, then consciously practice your desired response. Calm acceptance, centered breathing, and internal focus. This practice doesn't eliminate emotions, but rather inoculates you against their overwhelming power. Would you keep touching a flame that keeps burning you? Create space, not to escape them, but to return to yourself. Rule number 5, recognize the true source of value. Our final and most powerful rule comes from Marcus Aurelius's core understanding about where value truly resides. Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. This 5th rule teaches us to recognize that the true source of value comes from within, not from others. Here's the uncomfortable truth that's also your key to freedom. If you're deeply attached to someone to the point of suffering, you've likely placed the source of your value, worth, or happiness in them rather than finding it within yourself. You've made them the fountain of your good rather than recognizing that the fountain exists within you. Throughout history, the wisest teachers have understood this principle. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the known world, wrote in his private journals not about the adoration of millions or the power he wielded, but about the sovereignty of his own mind and virtue. Why? Because he understood that anything we place our value in outside ourselves can be taken away. Strategic tone. To apply this principle practically, 1. Identify where you've externalized your value. Have you made this person the source of your validation, your happiness, your sense of being lovable or worthy? 2. Reclaim these as internal qualities. Your worthiness of love isn't determined by their decision to love you. Your capacity for joy isn't dependent on their presence. 3. Practice self-sufficiency in precisely the areas where you've been seeking fulfillment from them. Inspirational tone. As Marcus wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." What if you've been searching for someone to love you because you've forgotten how to love yourself? You're the source. They were just a mirror. There they are, 5 Stoic rules from Marcus Aurelius that provide a pathway to emotional detachment. 1. Recognize the temporary nature of all relationships. 2. Separate the person from your judgments about them. 3. Practice the discipline of desire and aversion. 4. Create distance and practice premeditatio malorum. 5. Recognize the true source of value is within. These aren't just techniques for getting over someone. They're principles for living a life of emotional freedom. As Marcus reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Begin applying these principles today. Start with just one rule that resonated most strongly and practice it consistently. Notice how your relationship with attachment begins to transform. If you found value in these Stoic principles for emotional detachment, you'll want to check out my video on 7 Stoic practices for unshakable inner peace, where I dive deeper into daily practices that can transform your emotional resilience. Click the card appearing on screen now, or find the link in the description below. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our weekly explorations of ancient wisdom for modern challenges. Until next time, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength.